Sometimes we believe we must carry every burden ourselves, that reaching out for help shows weakness. But have you ever considered that this mindset might actually be the very thing holding you back from achieving your dreams? Today's story is about a young man named David who tried to walk the path to success completely alone. But along the way, he discovered his limits. And, more importantly, he learned that asking for help doesn't mean you failed, it simply means you're human. In fact, it's a necessary part of the journey. If you're curious, stay with the story until the very end. In a quiet village, surrounded by open fields and rocky paths, lived 23-year-old David. Most villagers survived through farming. The place was peaceful, but life was full of struggles. David was a carpenter, a craft he inherited from his father, who had passed away. He owned a tiny workshop, although the roof was nearly collapsing. Every day, David worked alone, building chairs, repairing worn-out tables, and dealing with customers who constantly bargained down his prices. Even after working so hard, he barely managed to buy bread, soup, and firewood for the cold season. But David wasn't satisfied with surviving. Every evening, he stared through his small window toward the distant hills and whispered, "One day, I'll own a big furniture store. People will travel from faraway places to buy the things I make." Reality, however, wasn't on his side. Every time he saved a few coins, an unexpected problem showed up: a leaking roof, a broken tool, or a medical bill for his sick mother. Some villagers mocked his big dreams. One farmer even said, "David, you can't even buy good quality wood, and you're dreaming of a huge shop?" The words hurt, but David held on to his dream tightly. One day, a traveling merchant named Mr. Aziz visited David's workshop. He asked David to build a large dining table and gave him a week to complete it. The payment was generous. It was the biggest order David had ever accepted. But halfway through the job, he faced a crisis. He ran out of wood. When he visited the wood supplier, he learned that winter demand had doubled the prices. With the little money he had, he could only afford half of what he needed. He considered asking Mr. Aziz for an advance, but felt embarrassed. He tried borrowing money from a man named Weed, who simply laughed and refused. David sat alone, wondering, should I give up? Should I sell my shop? Am I foolish for dreaming so big? That night, he stared at the few coins left on his table. That's when his mother's words echoed in his mind. Every great journey begins with one small step. Don't fear the struggle, just keep going. The next day, motivated again, David took a bold risk. He traveled to the city with a few folding chairs he had made, hoping to sell them. If he failed, he wouldn't even have enough money to return home. For hours, people walked past his small stall without noticing. Then, around midday, a wealthy woman stopped, admired his craftsmanship, and bought all the chairs. With the money, he bought the wood he needed and hurried back to the village. He finished the table right on time. Mr. Aziz loved it and said, "You're talented. Don't ever stop believing in your dream." Soon, word about David's skill began to spread. Orders came from nearby towns and villages. Then, one day, a businessman from the city gave him a huge offer: 10 dining tables in 1 month. It was the opportunity David had been waiting for. But there were problems: expensive, high-quality wood, a tiny workspace, a tight deadline, and no helpers. Still, David accepted. To raise the money, he made the most painful decision of his life. He sold his father's gold watch. Tears filled his eyes as he handed it over, but he reminded himself that great dreams sometimes come with great sacrifices. David bought the wood and worked without rest, barely sleeping, skipping meals, pushing through pain. Villagers warned him he would fall sick, but he didn't stop. During the final week, one of the tables kept breaking because of a flaw in the wood. Exhausted, David sat with his head down. His mother walked in and gently said, "You've worked so hard, but your health matters too. Success means nothing if you destroy yourself in the process." With tears in his eyes, he whispered, "I just want to prove that I can do this. I want us to escape this difficult life." She placed her hand on his shoulder and said, "You already have. Your hard work and determination show your strength, but no one can carry every burden alone. Asking for help isn't weakness, it's wisdom. If you ask your friends and neighbors to help you, they will gladly support you." Her words touched him deeply. The next morning, for the first time, David asked the villagers for help, and they all came. Together, they completed the huge order before the deadline. The businessman was delighted and paid him exactly as promised. With this money, David expanded his workshop, bought new tools, and even hired young workers from the village. But the greatest lesson he learned is that success isn't built on effort alone. Sometimes you need the strength of others to help you move forward. Did you enjoy the story? Share your thoughts in the comments. And if you'd like to hear more inspiring stories, stay connected for more.